What's up everyone? So I'm going to show you the best settings on your Gigabyte Z790 to prevent degradation on your Intel i9 and get the best performance out of your CPU without breaking anything. So if you don't know who I am, I'm Zilly. I've worked with tens of thousands of PCs at this point, and I've worked with your top professionals like Booga and all these other big names when it comes to the Fortnite scene. So past 6 years have been just me dialing in my services and making sure I'm giving customers the best premium PC optimization service. But I'm gonna show you guys the process on Gigabyte motherboards and how you get them running super good without degrading the CPU. Now, I'm really mentioning this because this motherboard does in fact have a lot of problems when it comes to degradation if you unlock all the limits. So whenever I did run this motherboard with unlocked limits on auto voltage, the thing was spitting out 1.6 voltage. Okay, that is a very high voltage for an i9, and that's pretty much why these i9s after a couple of months start having problems. Usually it just takes around 3 months, right? I had a client yesterday with an Intel i7 on an MSI motherboard. He had it for 8 months. It's degraded so bad that I think he needs to buy a new CPU, to be honest, or he needs to get it replaced by Intel. Which, by the way, if you guys do have an Intel CPU that is crashing, you can get it replaced from Intel for absolutely free. You don't have to spend a dime. It's under warranty. You can go ahead and replace it. The only problem is you do need to have the CPU box or the CPU serial numbers somehow. So that's the only way, and also a receipt of where you bought it from. So unfortunately, not a lot of people have that, which I understand, but that's why you got to keep your CPU boxes, because there's a lot of codes on there that could benefit you later when it comes to warranties. So now what I'm going to say is I am on the latest BIOS on this motherboard. I did just have to update it to fix some weird problem with secure boot. Now, what I'll say is updating your BIOS to the latest version on Intel, that's if you don't want to suffer any problems and not have to do what I'm about to show you guys today. Okay, so if you just want to buy an Intel CPU, you know, in 2026, and then just put it in the motherboard and not have to worry about anything, yes, update the BIOS to the latest version. Now, is this going to truly fix your issue? Probably not. I don't really trust the latest BIOS. I don't trust the microcode at all. I don't think it's really fixing it. Okay, and on top of that, it is lowering performance for these CPUs. So there you go. Now what I'm going to show you is Gigabyte specific. I do have videos on MSI and Intel and Asus Intel. You can go ahead and watch those. They might be a little bit different when it comes to me setting the voltage and all that, but it's pretty much the same thing across the motherboards. But let's go ahead and get started. So you want to go to tweaker. You might be in easy mode, so just go to advanced mode at the top and you go to tweaker. Intel default settings, I don't like these. I'm disabling them. Okay, if you care about performance, I'm not using these. And then Gigabyte perf drive, you can leave this on optimization. What I like to do on this motherboard specifically, I set it to unleash. Now, I just want to make something clear. If you're going to leave the voltage on auto, do not do this. Do not do this. Do not do this. You are going to have a lot of problems with degradation in a couple of months if you do this. Matter of fact, probably a couple of weeks. So go ahead and press enter on that. Just press OK, press yes on that. You can ignore that. We're going to set our own voltage, our own CPU clock ratio. So usually if you have a new i9, you should be able to do 56 without any issues. However, for most of you, I'd recommend setting it to 54. If you've had the i9 for a couple years, a couple months, you need to go ahead and set it to 54, and even then it might not still be stable. So that's whenever like you got to do some extra stuff. All right, then efficiency CPU clock ratio, you can leave this on auto. I'm gonna set it to 43. And I'm gonna go to advanced CPU settings. I like disabling Intel hyper-threading technology because this processor has E-cores. If it didn't have E-cores, I'd just leave this on. But since it has efficiency cores, Intel hyper-threading doesn't really help in gaming, so I'm gonna go ahead and disable that. Intel speed shift technology, same thing with that. We're gonna be setting static clocks, so we don't need that. CPU thermal monitor, same exact thing, disabled. Run the core offset, we're gonna disable that. CPU EIST function, disabled. Race to halt, disabled. Energy efficient turbo, disabled. Intel turbo boost technology, also disabled now. And Intel Turbo Boost Technology 3.0. If you set your performance CPU clock ratio and your efficiency CPU clock ratio like so, you don't need these, right? These are just for, you know, default boosting algorithms. And then enhanced TVB, I'm gonna go ahead and disable these since we're not gonna be using them. FLLOC mode is not needed, so you can disable that. Legacy game compatibility mode, same thing. And Intel virtualization, obviously disable that. AVX settings, I'm gonna set this to user defined, and then AVX offset, I'm gonna set this to 0. Basically, if you don't set it to 0, your CPU clock speeds during stress test might drop down a little bit. So you're not gonna be stress testing the clock that you actually set in BIOS. And then I'm gonna scroll down, leave the E cores and P cores enabled, and C state control, just set that to disabled, like so. Now, if your cooler is bad, you're gonna find out really quickly with this video. So if your cooler is bad, I highly recommend just clicking off this video. Don't even watch it. It's not even worth it. Okay, you need to have at least a 360mm or some good 240, 280mm, right, to run these CPUs. They pull a lot of power. It's like 300, 250 watts while you're in the game. So it's a ridiculous amount, and you need to have proper cooling for it. You can't have like a regular air cooler or, you know, a low quality water cooler, or like a screw missing on your water cooler. You can't have that, guys. All right, and then XMP for this particular motherboard, 7200 doesn't actually work. So for this video, I'm just gonna set it to 6800. If I had the Elite XAX, which is the refresh version of this motherboard, you can run 7200 without any issues. Unfortunately for this one, you can't. So that's why I'm gonna just set it to 6800. And then V-Core voltage mode, if you're watching this on Gigabyte, fixed V-Core, CPU V-Core, I'd recommend starting at 1.28, and the max I'd go to is 1.3. If you start having crashing, blue screens, whatever, on 1.3, you need to start dropping down your performance CPU clock ratio right here. That's if you have crashing issues. Now, if you don't have a degraded i9, or if it's not that bad, then 54 or whatever I mentioned earlier, it's going to be fine for you. But 1.28 is probably like max. 1.3 is doable as long as you have the cooling for it. But 1.28, 1.3 with the LLC that we're going to set, that's probably the max that you want to set. BCLK adaptive voltage, you can disable that. We don't need it. Go ahead and scroll down to advanced voltage settings, and then CPU/VRM settings. This is where we're going to set our CPU V-Core load line calibration. So what this setting basically does, whenever your CPU hits a load, it's going to drop down your CPU V-Core a whole bunch. So 1.28, it's going to drop down to around 1.23. Depends on the load, obviously. The higher the load, the more it's going to drop. But what I like setting it to on these motherboards is turbo, and you can see right here on the load line scaling graph, this one doesn't drop it as much. It's the third setting. So the ultra extreme, that is increasing the voltage slightly whenever you're under load. We don't want that, obviously. Extreme you can do, right? But I like doing turbo just because I know the numbers for it. Okay, so if you're watching this video, pay attention, use turbo, and you're going to be using 1.28 V-Core to 1.3. Now, there's multiple ways of doing this. There's multiple ways of fixing the degradation. I just like doing this way because I like static overclock, first of all, on Intel. And second of all, this just tends to have the best performance after we're done. As long as you're not severely degraded, and if you have a good CPU cooler, this is not going to really cause any issues. Now, for people that have really bad coolers, I mean, again, as I mentioned earlier, don't watch this video. Like, just go buy a new cooler before you watch this video and fix your temperatures. But yeah. Go to settings. You can disable power loading and RC6 vendor standby. These are not needed. And then you can go to IO ports, internal graphics. This is pretty much the HDMI/display port on your motherboard. If you disable this, it's not going to work anymore. All of you are using your graphics card when it comes to Intel, and you might have a 1400KF anyway, so you don't even have any great graphics. This is i9 1400K, so I'm going to disable that. Resize bar support, enable that if you have a supported GPU, and it should automatically enable the rest of these. Oh, sorry, I was enabling the wrong one. Leave SR IOV support enabled or disabled. And then you want to go to Gigabyte Utilities Downloader, disable that. It's bloatware, and you can just go back to the miscellaneous. And VTD, if you're not playing Valorant, if you're not playing Face It, disable. Very, very important that you disable this. It's like a big difference when it comes to FPS. So go ahead and do that. I wouldn't touch any of these PCIe link speeds. There's no need to. Auto should just be fine. There could be a problem with your GPU if you have like the NVMe in the top slot. Fortunately for me, I don't think I have that issue on this motherboard, but I've seen a lot of people have that. So yeah, and that's pretty much it, guys. You don't have to do anything on this motherboard. It's a pretty simple motherboard, actually. It has less settings than, you know, MSI and ASUS. From my point of view, it's very easy to do. you know. So the only thing that I would do now is press F6 to go to smart fan and make sure that your CPU fan speed control is not on silent. As you can see, it's right now by default, it just goes to silent, and that's a big problem with this motherboard. And also ASRock motherboards, for some reason they sometimes default to silent mode for the CPU coolers. You don't want that, okay, especially on this processor. So now all you have to do is just save and exit. Now what I like to do is I save a profile right here. I'll just call it like BIOS settings. Let's just say for one day you clear the CMOS, or you have to clear CMOS to boot your PC for whatever reason. You can just load the profile by clicking load profiles and then loading your BIOS settings profile like that. Just makes it super easy. Then I'm gonna click save and exit setup, press yes on that. It's gonna restart, and it's gonna take its time to boot, so just be patient. Now to make one thing very, very clear, if you don't boot after these settings, which I've seen some people in my comments or that message me on Discord, they're like, oh hey, I watched your video and I cannot boot anymore. The reason why you're not booting is probably because of your XMP, it's unstable, or it's too fast, or your RAM sticks are faulty. Believe it or not, RAM sticks being faulty is probably the most popular problem I've seen with hardware and how problematic it is. I've seen more faulty RAM than faulty GPUs, power supplies, motherboards, CPU coolers, okay? Like the RAM problem when it comes to XMP not working and being unstable is ridiculous. So I'll leave HW info linked in the description. You want to make sure that you download this, and then you want to open it up in sensors only mode and press start. And we're just going to check our voltage, make sure it's applied, and our CPU speed. So if we expand core clocks, you should see that your P cores are at whatever you set it in BIOS. So either 5.6, or if I recommended 5.4 for you, then go ahead and check for that. It should be 5.6 or 4 and 4.3 for the E cores. And temperatures should be somewhere around this, guys. You can see 30 degrees on idle. Nothing too crazy. Obviously we're pulling like 30 watts, but it should be somewhere around there. Let's just say you're like 60-70 degrees on idle like right now. Go ahead and go back to BIOS, like enable every power saving feature that I disabled in this video, because you need to go get ahead and buy a new CPU cooler or replace your thermal paste, okay? It's not worth it if you're overheating doing these settings, because you already have a problem with the PC. So yeah, then I like scrolling down, looking at vCore, making sure it's like 1.28. It says 1.272, but basically it's like 1.28, right? So that's good. Now if you did put 1.3, you should see like somewhere close to 1.3, maybe 1.29 or 1.285 or something like that. If you see that, that means your voltage is applied and you're good to go. Now what I like to do now is, for a stress test, unfortunately there's two ways to do this. You can do a shader preload test on different games. So I'm pretty sure Marvel Rivals has this, Call of Duty has this, and a couple other games have this shader preloading, where it uses every single one of your cores on your processor to pretty much quickly load the shaders for a particular game. And this is a workload, and if you can pass this, you can pretty much play your game without any issues, and there's not gonna really be any crashes. Now, is this the most ideal way to stress test? No, but I'm not gonna go ahead and show you guys a particular stress test and it's like a doom and gloom type of deal, and you have to be stable in the stress test, or you're not stable at all. No, matter of fact, you can error in a stress test and still be stable in game. So if you have Call of Duty, if you have Marvel Rivals, if you have a game that has a shader load in the beginning of the loading screen that hits the CPU super hard, then go ahead and use that. However, if you don't have that, you can use a tool like OCCT and just run like extreme CPU stress test. Run it for like 10 minutes or 5 minutes, and if there's no errors, if there's no blue screens, if there's no issues, then you're good to go. If there's any errors or blue screens, you could try upping the voltage to 1.3 from 1.28. If you do that and it still is crashing and blue screening, go ahead and drop down your P cores to like lower than what you have it. Usually if it's doing that, I drop it down by 2 and keep on doing that till it's stable pretty much. But yeah, so now what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go ahead and launch Call of Duty like so. And we're gonna look at our temperatures and everything. We're gonna see that it's really gonna hit the CPU hard. We're gonna probably see that it's gonna hit like 90 degrees or 80 degrees, which is completely fine. But you can see CPU package power is hitting 130. Let's just wait for COD to load. And you gotta restart. All right, so if you launch the game like me and it's not doing the shader preload test, you can go ahead and start it manually. So I'm gonna go to graphics, I'm gonna go to quality, and it might actually not be in quality. I forgot where it's at. Might be in display. Okay, so restart shaders. So go ahead and do that. Then we gotta restart the game, obviously. All right, so the shader preload test is running right now. You go ahead and see that the CPU is starting to ramp up. We hit like 175 watts right there, and for some reason it just finished out of nowhere. All right, guys, so listen, if you're able to run the shader preload test, go ahead and do that. But for the purpose of this video, I'm gonna go ahead and just run a stress test and show you guys how to do it with a stress test. All right, so I got OCCT opened up like so. As you guys can see, all you want to do is click CPU and click extreme, and load type you just leave it on variable. Just press start. Now, ignore the voltage that it says right here. It's just reading the core VIDs. Core VIDs is pretty much what the CPU is asking for, and we're obviously not giving it 1.55. We're giving it, if we scroll down here. So yeah, as I told you guys earlier, it's gonna be like around 1.2 if you're using 1.28 with the Turbo LLC. And around like 5 minutes, 10 minutes on this, and you should be good to go. You should be able to play your games without any issues. Now, if you start seeing a whole bunch of errors, if you start seeing crashes, blue screens during the stress test, go back into BIOS, increase your voltage to 1.3 for the CPU V core, see if that helps. Usually it should offset most of your errors. Now, if you're just erroring, that should fix it. If you're blue screening, that's whenever it's probably the time to start dropping down the P core speed. So if you're already at 54, you're gonna try 52. If you're already at 56, you're gonna try 54, and so on and so forth until you get it stable pretty much. Now, I just want to make it clear, your CPU is going to be pulling a lot of power. As you guys can see, I am putting literally 360 watts right now, and now I'm not close to thermal throttling, but I'm starting to thermal throttle with a 360mm water cooler. So it's going to pull a lot of power, it's going to run hot, and this is not even that crazy of a voltage. This is just 1.2 load, right? It's not that crazy. I've ran 1.25, I've ran 1.28, which I don't recommend. That's gonna fry your CPU. It's happened a couple times, but you want to make sure that you're stable and you're not overheating too badly. You want to make sure that, like, you know, your core effective clocks aren't dropping down too crazy. So yeah, 5 minutes, 10 minutes on this, you're pretty much good to go. You go ahead and play your games. I already know this is gonna be stable because this is a brand new CPU, nothing done to it, and I already know what this CPU pretty much does for the overclock. So this is not gonna error at all. But for you guys, if you've had the CPU for a while, this is most likely gonna error or blue screen, especially if it's the first time you're doing this. Which, by the way, if you're having any troubles doing this and you just want us to do it for you, which we do that in our PC optimization services, you go ahead and book it and link in the description. But if you want to do it on your own, I understand that. But yeah, so yeah, 5 minutes on this, you can pretty much go play your games, and you should notice more performance after this video. If you don't notice more performance, you need to check two things: your CPU temperatures and your stability. If you're running these games while you're unstable, yes, it's going to be lower performance. And number two, if you're reaching above 80 degrees with the games opened, that's going to be a problem because your CPU is going to most likely start thermal throttling while you're gaming, and that's whenever your CPU clock speeds start dropping down and you get those stutters and FPS drops. But yeah, anyways, that's going to be pretty much it for this video. If you guys enjoyed it, drop down a like, subscribe, and make sure to comment if this helped you. If you have any questions, go ahead and comment as well. But other than that, it's gonna be pretty much it for me, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed this, and there's not gonna be a lot of people on Intel watching this, but for those of you who are still on Intel and, you know, are gonna be benefiting from this, then hopefully this helps. But yeah, it's gonna be pretty much it, guys. Peace.